A newborn panics as his limbs refuse him. Terror claws at his mind, while a serene woman with long blue hair smiles down and asks who he is. A cold status readout blinks into being. Name: none. Gender: male, level 1, PA. Every stat an F except water at E. The infant chokes out, "Huh!" as the level snaps to 1. He reels at being reborn. A beautiful woman appears, and an elder notes. The baby's mouth matches hers. She smiles approvingly and murmurs, "Nice." A horned king bellows, "Your Majesty," as the readout finally gives him a name, Noah Ararat. A lion-headed noble proclaims, "His name shall be Noah," and the court declares the child the emperor's son, his water aptitude already pulling him toward Almeria. A blinding SS detonates on the status. Noah Ararat's water surges to SS, while every other ability remains a pitiful F. Nobles gape and whisper that something impossible has been born. The court erupts in acclaim. Voices swell with awe as the infant prince becomes the center of a roaring, greedy excitement. He rejects the idea of a humble past. "I am not a village boy," and, with a startling calm, accepts the truth. He is Noah Ararat, the 13th prince reborn into noble blood. Noah sits crowned on the grand throne, a small crown atop his head and an ice-blue sword gripped in his hand. Power hangs about him like an atmosphere. In a lavish bedroom, a maid fusses with Prince Noah's robes as he settles onto a plush couch, every careful rustle underlining how unnatural this ease feels on a child's shoulders. At 6 years old, Noah endures the ritual of being dressed by 2 maids. His gaze is sharp and far older than his body, a small face harboring a steely resolve. He thinks back to life as a simple village boy and feels the absurdity of his new station. The emperor's blood, the lord of Almeria, his heart racing at the comforts and duties that now define him. After 6 years, Noah has learned the cruel arithmetic of status, and SS draws awe, but his true power scales with subordinates, turning public praise into a quiet calculus about servants and strength. His potential stretches toward infinity now. No cap, like the last rebirth's 8 wild hands fuss with his uniform, and a maid declares he looks handsome as ever. A maid gushes, "Noah, Sama is amazing," and another praises his composure. Noah wonders if that calm is simply the dignity demanded of a ruler. Word arrives that the crown prince and the 4th prince will visit. Noah, hemmed by protocol despite his rank, watches a maid scurry to prepare him for their arrival. Crown Prince Albert bursts in with booming cheer, while Prince Henry kneads the tension with a soft, "No need to be nervous, just have a seat," and the formal air softens for a moment. The visiting princes compliment Noah, "You'll be a great chancellor," and a grinning courtier announces he has a present, ordering an ornate chest brought in as servants struggle down the hall. A sweating servant is pushed to open the chest. The lid creaks and white fabric peeks out, the whole room straining toward whatever lies within. The chest swings wide to reveal a fearsome sword. Its dark, jagged blade seems to writhe, and the hilt coils like something alive. Crown Prince Albert teases the reveal. "Hold it, it's a present," and the blade erupts with a roar of power that leaves Noah startled and demanding answers. A cold voice names the weapon Leviathan, the demon sword of water, and warns that roughly 120 people died before anyone could wield it, prompting a shocked "Eh!" as a hand reaches for the hilt. A young courtier admits he nearly dropped the imperial prince's dangerous gift. An armored officer steadies the whole, while a terrified youth breathes that anyone who cannot carry it is cursed to death. Some whisper that an SS water user might reverse that fate. Grumbles and nervous laughter ripple through the nobles. One mutters bitterness about letting a prince touch the blade. Another concedes most can't even lift the box, and a weaker courtier clutches his chest as if frozen by some terrible pressure. Under a crescent moon, the estate looms while young Noah sits on a high balcony, sweat beading on his brow and anxiety carved into his features as a maid kneels beside him with a worried gaze. Zoe notices her master looks unwell and hesitates before confessing. She wants time off. Noah, impatient, demands she say it now and forces the request out of her. Noah presses for the reason. Zoe reveals her parents' farm was washed away and her single mother cannot feed herself. She even admits she considered selling herself, until Noah cuts her off with a hard, "All right, that's enough." Noah decides then and there to bring Zoe's mother into the mansion. Promising 10 reins a month, Zoe accepts through trembling tears and says her mother will manage the back gate. Zoe recoils at such generosity. Noah points out an empty house on the west edge of the city and a steady job worth more than a normal wage, and she breaks into grateful sobs. A servant bows with a chilling grin and shouts, "Thanks," while Noah quietly worries the emperor might scold him. The woman he helped walks away tearful, announcing that the girl is now her servant. A maid vows a servant will remain hers for life, unless death or dismissal intervenes, and Noah, fierce, declares he will not allow a servant to be sold for a few 10 reins. Nearby voices then mention the early spring flood that started it all. Orders fly, buy as much land as you can, and the tale cuts to flood. Ravaged fields where survivors sift through wreckage, while a warning spreads that merchants will prey on ruined homes unless someone intervenes first. An older man praises Noah for anticipating the flood. Despite the price, about 500,000 reins, he offers to help fund the recovery and tells the boy to get moving, treating him like a capable leader. The benefactor bows and departs with polite thanks while Noah's thoughts flick to Dylan. He remembers that Dylan, too, came from that devastated region. A majestic castle silhouette hides an immense library. A cloaked figure approaches the seated young prince and asks in a low voice whether the emperor summoned him. The emperor, pensive, remarks that Noah appears to have bought an entire village. Noah stands before the cloaked man and answers, "Very well, sir, trying my best every day," when questioned about his efforts. The cloaked informant admits he hadn't reported recent troubles. The emperor surprises everyone by saying he's not there to scold, but to praise. Noah rescued a flood-hit maid from being driven to the brothel, and a bearded courtier gasps, "How did you know about this?" The emperor praises Noah's handling of the crisis and offers a reward, reminding the court that the 13th prince's annual allowance is 8,000 reins, vast compared to commoners, but still small against Noah's ambitions. The emperor beams, "Well done, keep it up," and announces he'll raise Noah's stipend by 1,000. The boy trembles with gratitude and manages a shaky, "Why? Yes." The capital of Myers sprawls with wealth and bustle. As young Noah threads through crowded streets, every gilded excess a reminder of the world he now inhabits. Noah notes how little a 6-year-old can do, but remembers Siz's tip about a nearby songstress, so he slips into a place called Kurth and asks the proprietor about her. A murmur answers, "Her name is Alice, I believe," and Alice steps onto the stage in a jaunty hat and striped leggings, her presence pulling a sharp intake from the crowd. Alice throws herself into a powerful note. As a shaft of light finds her, the audience leans in while a cloaked figure in the front row watches with intent interest. A young man in the crowd mutters, "Okay, not bad at all," praising her earnestness. Then a sudden shout rips through the hall, "Hey, stop it! Stop it!" A brutish creditor lunges at the singer, railing about debts and insisting her father's liabilities can't be paid with song. Fists fly as the frightened performer pleads, "But sir!" A hulking man seizes Alice's arm and leers that she must have something to sell. As a girl, she shrinks back, flushed and trembling, while bystanders smirk or stare in horror. A vulgar taunt about a child's family erupts, but a small, furious voice cuts through with a legal rebuke, citing Article 67(2) of the Imperial Code that forbids forcing children to pay a parent's debts, leaving the aggressors momentarily stunned. A burly thug grabs Noah's collar and snarls a challenge, but Noah clutches a glowing orb, the magic tool called Splash, and the device answers with a massive spell that leaves attacker and onlookers reeling. Blood sprays as a man screams and others howl in pain. A small cloaked figure watches from nearby while Noah kneels amid the carnage and coldly asks the wounded if they still want to continue, drawing only a gurgled gasp. The crowd erupts in cheers. "Way to go, boy! Awesome!" As defeated thugs flee with blood on their heels. Later, Noah tells a trembling complainant to send any future trouble straight to him. Someone gasps, "Prince?" As the young noble steps forward, face shadowed by hair. Afterwards, he offers a hat to Alice and, with quiet sincerity, murmurs, "That song earlier." It was good, sending murmurs through the crowd. Noah asks Alice how much she earns. She stammers out 25 reins, the last of it after her mother's medical bills. He looks away for a heartbeat, then promises to pay her more each month and orders her to keep singing. A maid erupts into grateful thanks. Another hides her face but forces a smile, and someone nudges Alice, eager to hear the rest of the song. Under a crescent moon, Noah strides down a tree-lined avenue while retainers bow low and entire groups prostrate themselves before a grand iron gate in deference. Several men nod at him, and Noah asks Zoe if any of them can demand an audience. When she confirms they're the collectors from earlier, he sends them away. Good decision. Prince Henry scolds that ignoring the collectors dishonors the crown. Noah snaps that he drove them off because he went to hear Alice sing. He wants people to keep believing he's still mad, so no one will bother her again. An elder agrees that forgiving them would only invite a return. Noah bears his protectiveness, then moves to a more formal chamber to speak about the demon sword Leviathan. A regal voice declares the blade has a will of its own, stubborn like a hound, and Noah reels at the notion of a weapon with consciousness. Voices insist the sword's master be made clear before anyone touches it. Someone cries for Leviathan to be brought, while a weary aide is told to get some rest. Noah's eyes narrow and he growls a dare. "Prove it now!" He seizes Leviathan, meeting the blade's resistance with an answering grip as an elder warns. True proof will be far off. His hand clamps the wicked spiked hilt. The weapon fights him, then erupts in furious black energy that swallows the hall. Yet the young prince stands unnervingly calm in the maelstrom. Noah roars that he'll prove it and slams Leviathan into the floor. The impact shatters stone, and a viscous, dark tide splashes outward in violent, irrevocable surge. Clutching the blade, Noah declares he brought Leviathan to its knees. A scarred onlooker can only whisper, "Da! Amazing!" as grudging awe hums through the room. A proclamation of his status flares. Noah Ararat, level 1/6.5. Water shining at E+SS, while every other attribute lags behind, confirming what nobles had both feared and hoped. The 13th prince stands tall, with Leviathan aloft. As water flares to SSS, whispers swell that from this moment his dominion in another world begins. Young Noah readies himself for battle. Silver hair, a glowing blade at his side, and a loyal maid waiting. His birth already marked, blessed, destined for overwhelming power. A newborn's fist flares, and someone cries, "What the hell is happening to me?" As the infant's body refuses to move, a blue-eyed woman peers down, asking who the child might be. The infant freezes at an empty name slot. "None," then yelps as his level clicks to 1. Name, none. Male, level 1, 2. Every stat an F except water at E. Thoughts tumble, reborn as a child, and the baby, lost in a grand hall, mistakes a beautiful woman for his mother, while an elder chuckles, "Nice face." A luminous decree renames him. Noah Ararat, a lion-voiced herald proclaims, "His name shall be Noah." The emperor claims the child as his son, and courtiers whisper that water aptitude could make him Lord of Almeria. His water affinity surges to SSE+, SS, flashing, and gasps ripple through the nobles as many insist the child may already be awakened to power. Noah Ararat, the emperor's 13th son, is declared Water SS. The court hails imperial blood and the crowd erupts, calling this the birth of extraordinary talent. A single thought settles. He has been reincarnated as a nobleman. Noah Ararat, 13th prince, no longer the village youth he once was. Crowned and enthroned, Noah grips an ice-blue sword while a faithful maid stands at his side as the court beholds their new scion. Light fills the grand mansion and servants fuss over ornate garments. Noah sits quiet and contemplative amid the gilded bustle. Two maids dress the boy with care, a stark reminder that Noah Ararat is only 6 years old and already the 13th prince of the empire. At 6, he's grown used to being handled by servants, though his heart still races when they change his clothes. Once a village boy, he now lives beside the palace as imperial blood and nominal lord of Almeria. Noah discovers a secret, while others read his status as SS. His private display registers E+. His strength scales with the number of subordinates, so more followers mean greater power. What once capped at level 8 now stretches toward infinity. A uniform clasp clicks shut, and the maids exclaim that his handsome looks have been fully restored. The maids gush that Noah-sama is amazing at his composed air, and Noah wonders if that same composure is what defines the dignity of a ruler. Noah eats under strict rules and is warned to slow down before guests. Servants announce the arrival of Crown Prince Albert and the 4th Prince, and everyone scrambles to prepare. Crown Prince Albert greets his brother warmly, while Prince Henry reassures Noah not to be nervous and to take a seat, easing the small boy's tension. Albert flatters Noah as polite and wise and hints he'll be a great chancellor, then announces a present as a servant struggles to haul in a heavy, ornate chest. The chest creaks open and the carrier's face drains. White silk peels back to reveal something that freezes every man in the room while two nobles watch with icy eyes. A jagged, ink-black blade rests on white silk-barbed hilt, coiling shadows, radiating a dark power no one wants to touch. Noah stands ready before the ominous sword, silver hair and heterochromatic gaze sharp, flanked by two women whose eyes are as keen as the blade itself. Prince Noah poses with the radiant sword while his dark-haired maid waits at his side. Fate hovers close, promising the climb from blessed birth to unrivaled strength. Albert unveils the dark sword. It stirs within its silk-lined chest, and Noah reels, shouting, "What's going on?" Albert only smirks, as expected. Albert names the blade Leviathan, the demon's sword of water, and Noah flinches at the memory of about 120 deaths tied to it as a hand reaches for the hilt. Courtiers warn that anyone who cannot bear Leviathan will die the moment they hold it. All whispers turn to Noah's Water SS, as nobles fear what the blade does, even to S-ranked wielders. Noah spits that Albert let him handle the cursed sword on purpose. The chest's carrier cries out in freezing, needle-like pain, while a blonde courtier shrugs. Most cannot even touch it. Under a crescent moon, Noah soaks in a steaming bath, shirtless and sweating, worry etched across his face as a maid tends him with a pensive, somber gaze. Zoe tells Noah he doesn't look well when he snaps for the truth. She hesitates, then asks for a little time off to deal with a private problem. Zoe confesses. Her parents' farm was swept away in the spring flood, and her mother cannot feed herself. Her voice trembles as she admits she even considered selling herself to survive before stopping herself. Weary but resolute, Noah promises 10 reins a month to help. Zoe, stunned, offers a plan to bring her mother into the mansion to work the back gate. Noah offers Zoe an empty house on the city's west edge with pay far above market, and she collapses into tears, overwhelmed by his generosity. The maid bows, "Thank you very much," as Noah, tearful and solemn, says, "Now that she is my servant." He admits the emperor might scold him. Zoe whispers that such a scandal would tarnish the 13th prince's name if it leaked. A maid swears she'll serve for life rather than be sold, and Noah recoils at the thought of people being pushed to brothels for coin. Elsewhere, caretakers tend a boy named Dylan. Fields lie ruined from the flood, and a voice warns merchants will rush in to seize the remains. Orders go out to buy up land and save people before the vultures arrive. An elder marvels at Noah's foresight, and Noah hinting he remembers such disasters from another life. Barks in order to provide relief, then flinches when told it will cost roughly 500,000 riens. A suited man bows, thanks Noah, and departs. Noah murmurs that Dylan, the boy they tended, also hails from the same flooded region. Noah halts before the throne and asks, "You wanted to see me, father?" The emperor studies the small, cloaked boy beneath the library's vaulted dome. The emperor, crowned and unreadable, regards Noah and says only, Noah bows. "Very well, sir. I'm trying my best every day," and the ruler dryly remarks, "Looks like you've bought an entire village." "It was only a few days ago. I haven't even reported it," Noah admits, and a courtier gasps. Someone whispers, "How?" He knows, until a stern officer forces calm and explains Noah wasn't summoned to scold, but because someone else had been spared the dirty work of cleaning up the ruin. A desperate maid from the village had been about to sell herself to survive. An armored noble calls Noah's rescue, a blessing, and offers a reward, rattling off the capital's meager wages and noting even the 13th prince's allowance dwarfs a common man's income. Yet no sum feels quite right for what the boy has done. When the emperor names 1,000 reen increase to Noah's stipend, the boy answers, "Yes, sir," and breaks into a wide, grateful smile that lights his small face. The Mir's capital hums with merchants and cartwheels. Noah, tiny among towers of goods and bustle, drinks in the city where wealth and want rub shoulders. He remembers the eunuch's tip about a market songstress and, 6 years old and curious, slips into a shop under a sign that reads, "Keith," to check her out. A voice cuts through the stalls. "Her name is Alice, I believe." That single name lands on Noah like a pebble dropped into a crowded square. A silver-haired youth grips a sword, heterochromatic eyes cold, 2 women flanking him. An image of danger and composure folded into one figure. A performer's voice climbs into the lamp's glow and fills a packed theater. Noah sits at the front, utterly rapt by the song's fervor. Noah murmurs, "Okay, not bad at all," assessing the singer like a judge. Another spectator agrees. But applause is cut by a frantic shout, "Hey, stop it, stop it!" A bald brute lashes out, boots flying, and snarls at the singer, "What are you doing here singing like a little bitch, huh?" The spotlight turns from praise into threat as the young woman pleads in vain. He grabs her arm, leering, "You've got something to make money with, haven't you?" Her terror echoes as the crowd freezes between intervention and cowardice. Noah steps forward and recites Article 67(2) of the Imperial Code. No child shall be required to shoulder the debts of a parent, and law, not muscle, shuts down the thug's claim. "Think you can handle me, you little shit?" The brute bellows and lunges. Then the magic tool, splash, flares in Noah's hand, allowing spells to fire even from a child, and a concussive shockwave blooms outward. The thug screams, "AHHH, my shoulder!" As blood jets and he is hurled back, clutching a torn limb, another attacker reels, while Noah kneels, composed, and dares them, "Still want to continue?" The criminals scatter. Cheers swell. "Way to go, boy!" And Noah, unbothered, tells a man with papers, "If they come here again, you tell them to come to me." An onlooker breathes, "Prince?" Noah hushes with a small, hesitant H. Then approaches the shaken singer, sets a hat on her head and says, "That song from earlier, it was good." Noah asks how much she earns. Alice trembles and admits 25 riens a month and a mother's unpaid bills. Noah promises monthly support to increase it as she heals and urges her to keep singing. Alice gasps, "Ah, thank you so much!" While Noah watches with a small, knowing smile, another voice in the crowd snaps, "And let me hear the rest of it." Under a crescent moon, Noah strides a quiet avenue toward the palace gate where supplicants lie, prostrate, and a string of citizens kneel, waiting for the prince's passage. He notices the thugs loitering outside and asks if they recognized him. After a long approach, he snaps at his maid, "Send them away!" And she agrees without hesitation. Brother Henry warns that brushing off such trouble would disgrace the royal household. Another brother chuckles that they simply heard Alice sing and handle the ruffians, while Noah says it pays to look stern so no one will ever bother her again. Prince Albert snaps that pardoning the thugs will only make them bolder, then leans closer to speak of a darker thing. The demon sword, Leviathan. He has news for Noah about it. Albert explains, Leviathan doesn't speak, but clearly has a will, like a dog that obeys only when it recognizes its place. And Noah frowns, tasting the weight of the word hierarchy. Noah decides it's better to make clear who's master before he uses Leviathan, murmurs, maybe, and then orders, someone, bring me that demon sword, while telling a tired carrier to rest. He grips Leviathan, his eyes harden, and he snarls, prove it now, I'll. A challenge thrown like a gauntlet to the blade's hidden will and to anyone who doubts him. Black ichor pours from Leviathan's wicked form as Noah pushes out a torrent of dark energy that unfurls like ravenous wings. He closes one serene eye and fights through the maelstrom. Coils of shadow wrap the blade while Noah roars, I'll prove it, and slams Leviathan into the earth, one devastating impact that shatters stone and silence alike. An armored onlooker exhales, amazing, as Noah stands amid a surge of light and declares, Leviathan brought to its knees. A luminous crest proclaims his name, Noah Ararat, Level 1 Tech Water E+SS. Noah smirks, as I thought, while an armored man reels at the sheer power pouring from a 6-year-old. Word spreads, Noah Ararat, the 13th prince, his water affinity blazing up to SSS, a sudden tilt of fate that makes everyone reconsider what kind of ruler he might become. Noah stands with sword in hand, and Zoe at his side, silver hair catching the light, a small figure cast suddenly large by what he can command. Prince Noah Ararat grips the glowing blade while Zoe stays close, the weight of a blessed birth and a terrifying power settling over a child made into a symbol. The SSS rating rings like a bell. An armored man laughs that Noah's water already ranks SSS at 6 years old, and Noah only nods. It seems so. Noah stares at the E+SS mark and wonders what will happen if Leviathan stays unchanged. The sword's subdued response suggests bending it to his will turns raw, water into something purer. SS. He remembers wanting to bear something like his brothers. Told to wait, he had insisted. And now, impossibly, he stands able to carry a massive, menacing sword as if he'd been born to it. Leviathan crackles and an armored man stammers, Did you just change its size? Noah answers calmly, This guy taught me how to do it, while the blade mutters, stunned at the unheard of feat. Gasps ripple, You really are amazing. Noah grips the colossal weapon and says, With this. His voice equal parts promise and threat. I can always carry it with me, he says with a confident smirk, Leviathan's immense presence settling as something he can command like a cloak draped over a child's shoulder. A maid announces an invitation. The third vizier has prepared a banquet at his residence. Noah realizes the summons will make him the evening's guest of honor. Noah promises to avoid noisy places and departs as attendants bow. A stern-faced man watches his exit with a measured, unreadable gaze. A bald man snaps, I can't take it anymore, and hauls a boy roughly, a massive, ornate sword clinking to the floor. The child's eye flashes an intense, unsettling light before a bearded man seizes the thug by the collar and roars. Enough with this shit. A man is forced down and ordered to, Get your ass here and apologize. A metallic click punctuates the command, and a younger figure coolly steps forward with, Excuse me then, leaving armored guests wincing at the tension. A grand carriage thunders up to a mansion. Third Vizier Jean-Brad Rayduc stands with guards and bows, welcoming, Welcome, Your Royal Highness, Prince Noah, as the gates open to ceremony. The Vizier remarks on a pleasant evening as Noah enters a glittering hall. Double doors swing wide and guests erupt into applause beneath bright chandeliers. Whispers ripple through the banquet. Noah carries himself with an uncanny maturity, as expected of His Majesty's son, one says, while curious glances flick to the object at his waist. A voice announces that the Crown Prince has entrusted Leviathan to young Noah. Murmurs follow. Some call the blade a demon, others a national treasure. And someone adds that Noah's fief is Almeria. Rayduke watches, knowing more than he lets on about the sword. A dismissive sneer slices the room. "Heh! It's just a toy, it's fake." A smug man turns away sweating, while a troubled youth bites his lip, unease blooming inside him. A furious, bald man seizes a terrified young woman and rants about debts, panic rippling through the banquet. Then, Leviathan stirs. The blade erupts, monstrous powers surging, and the lavish hall explodes into chaos. Noah bellows, "Hold!" and terror shatters the banquet. Nobles clutch their heads and fumble for the exits as Leviathan's monstrous power roars through the hall. A single flash from Leviathan cries out like a verdict. Nobles gasp and hail the 13th prince, while Noah privately thinks a quieter gesture would have done the trick. Byron Allen bows and presents his daughter Cindy to Noah, observing every courtly courtesy as if their fortunes depend on it. A courtier asks if Cindy is adopted. Noah answers simply, "No." Byron Allen affirms her lineage, and the nobles murmur their approval. One noble remarks on the girl's bearing. When a young woman blurts that Cindy was once a slave, Byron Allen brightens with pride at her perceptiveness. Cindy explains a former slave often carries a questioning look. Byron Allen admits he bought her from a trader and raised her because she was different and clever. Noah beams that he likes that kind of spirit. Byron Allen promises an invitation to his mansion, and Cindy accepts with eager gratitude. Whispers spread. She was never merely protected. Her courage defending Byron against intimidation earns genuine admiration from the assembly. A token of thanks arrives from the third vizier. But Noah keeps his hand tight on Leviathan and insists he must learn to truly wield the blade rather than rely on its name alone. A formidable, glowing sword hums to life. Noah's grin sharpens as he tells Zoe there's something to watch and to wait for. Before a massive tree, Noah admits his strength and speed rank low. Then he explodes into motion to test what he can do. His strike becomes a blur, whipping up a cyclone of splintered bark. Zoe gasps that the giant falls almost effortlessly, while another voice warns raw power can't explain everything. Noah admits he traced the motions of Leviathan's past wielders to learn their techniques, then produces a glowing orb that leaves Zoe speechless. Zoe names the blade's secret, Splash, a magic tool that unleashes an effect once an hour without draining power. Noah, excited, orders them to test it and lifts the sword. Splash detonates in blinding light, carving a devastating arc through the air. Zoe can only stare, stunned by the raw force unleashed. Noah becomes a streak of light with an intense gaze as a massive explosion of pure energy erupts around him. A figure is hurled through the air while a blinding white wave blasts outward, debris spins, and a lone silhouette stands against the ruin as droplets fall like cold stars. Noah laughs, breath ragged, admitting he diverted the worst of it but cannot even see the crater's bottom. One colossal dark vortex tears open the sky as Zoe whispers, "Amazing!" The blade's menacing, demonic shape stands revealed. Noah plants both hands on Leviathan's hilt and dares anyone to oppose its terrible force. Prince Noah Ararat stands with Leviathan gleaming, flanked by two companions, a living image of power and the long road he has chosen. A small posting tacked to the board requests an artist skilled in redrawing court heraldry, an odd human detail amid the aftershocks of power. Steam rises over a waiting bath as a maid fusses, scolding Noah's dusty, sweat-streaked body and insisting he needs proper care despite his protests. 4 maids wash away the grime of training. Noah endures their ministrations with quiet, weary acceptance. A maid breaks the bath's calm, announcing a visitor and producing a formal summons for Governor Dedo Murray of Hojoy. A young attendant exhales and turns as an older man mutters that Noah is an upstart from Hujoi. A stern-faced official glares with unmistakable coldness. Governor Dedo Murray bows and recalls their earlier meeting, asking plainly whether His Majesty sent him to control Hujoi's waters. Dedo Murray confirms his mission. Hujoi sits at a river's bend, and though the land is fertile, savage floods must be tamed to secure its future. Murray warns the budget won't be released. The order may have come from the throne, but the Ministry of Finance is blocking the funds. A startled cry of "Your Highness!" rings out as Noah, cloaked and guided, strides through the grand hall toward vistas of the estates beyond. Minister of Finance Maybrick fills the chamber with his portly presence, while an older noble, a kneeling petitioner, and a child form a tense tableau of court business. Caught mid-drink, the portly minister startles when Noah demands plainly, "If the Hujoi funds are withheld, tell us why." Maybrick offers a convoluted excuse. Noah slams it down with royal fury, ordering silence at any implication that youth equates to ignorance. Maybrick recovers and agrees to explain, but a messenger interrupts. Hujoi floods once more, and the nobles break into a tense exchange. They recall the emperor's decree, a year-long tax exemption for Hujoi after the floods, a fact that makes Maybrick sigh at the recurring debate. Maybrick mutters about a waiting slush fund. Noah fixes him with an icy demand, "Do you understand?" and cuts through every evasive answer. Noah erupts, reminding them the emperor exempted Hujoi and demanding how any official could treat that decree as optional. Maybrick tries to frame his actions as favors, but Noah snaps that you cannot collect taxes where none exist. Principle, not politicking, must guide them. Noah presses until Maybrick falters and admits he cannot disclose the true reason now. An evasive answer that only deepens the court's suspicion. Whispers curl about a lavish summer villa north of the capital, an expensive project that could swallow funds under the guise of royal need. Officials begin calculating the cost of a 5,000-person city to service the villa, already lining up the familiar rationales to move the money. When Maybrick mutters about an empty treasury, Noah snaps, "Shut up!" rebuking him for speaking as if lack of funds justifies neglecting duty. Noah confronts a senior noble, accusing him of making the emperor look foolish by diverting flood relief into vacation projects. The noble reels at the charge. A man collapses to his knees, screaming that it's a misunderstanding and begging for forgiveness as Noah's ultimatum hangs in the air: hand over the money or face the consequences. Even the whisper of reporting to the emperor sparks chaos orders. Bark to secure Hujoi's budget immediately, and courtiers scramble to make it their top priority. Noah remains seated and silent, a motionless force whose mere presence bends men's wills without a single step. Sweating and red-faced, Maybrick throws his fists up in panicked surrender. Noah's pressure has forced capitulation. Dedo Murray blurts his admiration aloud, while another noble, ashamed, confesses his own shallowness in petitioning for position rather than principle. Noah coolly acknowledges that many assumed he'd force his will, then sits and offers a polite "Thank you very much" to the kneeling man as a hush settles. As the carriage prepares to leave, Noah agrees to press forward with flood control, then freezes when a summons arrives. His Majesty wishes to see the 13th Prince. A grand castle rises beneath a bright sky. Its gardens are immaculate. 3 white doves lift into the clouds, and a delicate mechanical hand opens to catch falling droplets, tiny, captured worlds. An iron-eyed courtier watches as a cloaked figure flings bread into a marble fountain. Pigeons explode into the sunlit air beneath the castle spires, and the watcher's jaw tightens like a vice. Noah answers the imperial summons and is invited to relax, then freezes when a solemn man praises him for shattering Maybrick and drops a name that sets the court whispering, "It's about Hujoi." A young voice stammers, "That just happened?" While another brags about abandoning the finance ministry, an elderly advisor, beard bristling, smiles thinly and repeats that information is a blade few know how to hone. The emperor lays a warm, fatherly hand on 6-year-old Noah's head and, pride softening his voice, says, "You're only 6, but you're truly remarkable." Noah cradles the demon blade. Leviathan, as the emperor marvels, the boy commands a sword with a monstrous past and shows it absolute control. Convinced Noah needs a mentor, the emperor orders, "Fetch noble." Armor clanks into place like an announcing drum roll as a new presence approaches. A towering warrior storms forward in gleaming plate and bellows his name and intent. "I am Damien, noble, I'm here." Damien accepts the command to train Noah. The emperor affirms the boy's unmatched swordsmanship, and a nearby girl squeals at the thought of Noah under Noble's tutelage. Noble vows to begin at once and demands Noah show what he can do, while insisting he will judge the child's spirit as much as any technique. Noah wonders aloud how the emperor was convinced so easily, and a stern voice calls, "Come, Your Highness!" Clad in blazing armor and wielding a blade like thunder, Damien issues a blunt dare. "You can come slashing at me." A colossal sword hangs like a promise in the air. Noah plants his feet, grips Leviathan, and answers, he'll accept a challenge from anywhere. A chamberlain steps forward with a curt bow, offering thanks and a polite apology for any oversight, and slides a written notice inviting interested parties to confer with the court later. Damien roars his challenge once more. "You can come slashing at me from anywhere." And the young Noah replies, steady as steel, "I understand." Prince Noah Ararat stands ready with Leviathan. A stern guardian looms behind him, and a banner proclaims the land of warriors, a promise that trials are coming. Sparks explode as Damien's furious strike meets Noah's blade. The cloaked boy slips, evades, and the two lock into a clash of wills with faces set and resolve burning. Noah greets Noble's onslaught with a flat assessment. "You're not bad!" And their blades slam together in a shower of metal and grit. Sparks leap as Noah's sword holds against Noble's assault. The boy's eyes lock forward with an intensity that refuses to flinch. A magnificent sword whirls overhead while two armored figures stand amid a field of buried blades, their narrowed gazes taking in every twitch of the opponent's gloved hand. The emperor clasps his hands and regards Noah, Leviathan, at the prince's side, peering out over the sword-strewn plain as if trying to read the boy's future in the ruins. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," an instructor admits, hanging his head and confessing there is nothing left to teach. Noah's speed and strength have already outstripped instruction itself. The instructor bows defeat. Noah's reflexes lifted a sword from a master's grip as if by instinct, leaving no lesson untried. The emperor bursts into delighted laughter and applause. Courtiers echo him, calling the boy truly the son of his majesty. The night selection is declared, and Noah, sober and composed, volunteers to be the chief selector. An elder nods, saying no better choice could be made. A massive crowd rises as the night selection begins. Two combatants clash in demonstration while banners recall the Miri's name, the empire's warlike tradition pulsing through the square. Here, skill with a blade is the ladder for merit. Winners of the selection earn the title of knight and vault straight into the upper ranks of society. Noah realizes the advantage of being selector. The victorious knight must serve the selector first, and a faint, calculating smile crosses his face at the power that brings. Noah's status hovers in his mind like an inevitable truth. Noah Ararat, 13th Prince, level 1111. Every stat, a dismal F except water, blazing at E+S, he notes dryly that his gift grows through those beneath him and steels himself to build it. When the emperor asks how Noah will run the selection, Noah's eyes sharpen and he demands every qualifier from across the empire be brought to the imperial city so he can judge them personally. The Emperor worries preliminaries will be unfair, but Noah insists on watching each contestant himself. Finally, the Emperor yields. "I'll leave it to you, Noah." A maid explains the selection is the only ladder for commoners and that usually a village sends a single hopeful. Then, with a tight smile, she confesses she removed her village's qualifiers this year. She apologizes and admits the bitter truth. The crushing costs of travel and lodging make it impossible for most villagers to attempt the selection. Villages pool money so one chosen person can go, and that single burden of expectation can crush true talent. A cup clinks down, heavy with the weight of that choice. Noah snaps, "Let's get rid of it." Zoe startles and volunteers to cover expenses, warning it will cost a fortune, but her admiration for her master makes the sacrifice sure. Noah orders his men to catalog every vacant house in the city and buy them all, a single command that will erase lodging as a barrier overnight. If houses won't be enough, Noah says they'll build dormitories. Zoe is told to contact grain merchants and prepares to head to the capital, thinking inwardly that her master is astonishing. A plan for steady food supplies takes hold, and the city bursts into motion. Markets swell, stalls rise, and people stream through the streets to ready themselves for the selection. Clad in armor, Noah scans the crowds for talent, then slips into a dark coat and calls quietly, "Brother!" toward a passing carriage. Oscar Ararat peers from his carriage and asks Noah what he's doing out here with an easy warmth that belies the day's gravity. Oscar invites Noah to Cobalt Street and mentions the Emperor has been praising Noah lately. The carriage driver warns they'll have to walk from here on. This district rewards those who hunt treasures on foot. Oscar and Noah arrive on foot. Oscar breathes. So this is Cobalt Street, taking in the dense tangle of antique stalls and crowded shops. Cobalt Street teems with dealers and supposed treasures. Someone mutters that 10,000 reins could do, a sum that dwarfs the 10 reins. A laborer earns in a month. A cloaked vendor promises paintings? Noah sniffles, unconvinced. Most of them are cheap fakes, and he and Oscar sift through a crowded display with practiced eyes. Noah says real treasures belong in proper shops, not stalls, then casually asks, "How much is this?" A question that makes Oscar lean in, curious. When a vendor passes over an item for 3 reins, Noah pays without hesitation. Oscar blurts, "Noah, let me see that." And the prince startles, calling, "Brother!" Oscar holds the book aloft and declares it a treasure. The original book of the great sorcerer, Andrea. Stunned that Noah picked a genuine relic for less than 1,000 reins, Noah's status hums at the edge of his mind. Noah Ararat, 13th Prince, Level 1, Su. F. Across the board, except water roaring at E+S, he suspects the book sparked the surge, and Oscar smiles at the sharpness in the boy's gaze. Holding the book, Noah senses power stirring. A presence flares nearby and he gasps, "Huh!" as something cold and living reaches for him. A terrifying sword ignites above the book, crackling with dark energy. Noah admits through clenched teeth, "Leviathan told me about it," while Oscar reels back, shouting, "Noah!" Arcane symbols and a pentagram scar the book's cover as a smoky, inky soul peels free with a wet, breathing whisper of "boob." Tendrils snake upward and Noah stares with blade-bright eyes while the seal fractures. A forbidden tome detonates in crackling, inky power. A vortex of shadow and lightning rends the earth, while Noah stands unmoved, gripping the book. Oscar stumbles back, voice shredding the air. "What?" A colossal, shadowed face with burning eyes glares from the abyss. Noah draws his sword and stares upward as the vortex howls. Oscar's screams choke on the roar. The darkness resolves into a menacing, trident silhouette. Noah plants his feet and holds his blade aloft, refusing to look away from what waits above. The city below ruptures into chaos, buildings splinter. A deafening roar swallows streets, and debris rains as shadow and lightning devour everything in their path. The Wind Master's vengeful spirit has returned, someone cries. Run, Noe! Another yells, while another voice gasps that the forbidden book contains a sealed human soul. A rolled parchment lists names and thanks, the final imprint of a chapter penned in hurried, grateful script before the chaos swallows the night. Night hushes the manor. Two maids bow and bid Master Noah good night as he departs, a door slamming behind him while the servants decide Jessica and Lily should take their bath. Lily hums, and teases her friend about what sort of woman Master Noah might like, scheme curling around their laughter as the other scolds her for being rude. One maid snorts that Noah is only 6 and would probably prefer someone childish like Lily. Another flushes bright red and flees, mortified at the accidental insult. Anna cries out as a hand grabs her in teasing, and a younger maid wonders aloud if Noah might favor someone motherly, the suggestion dangling in the warm, embarrassed silence. Two maids praise the normal types like Jessica, but their gossip dies when Zoe bursts in, heads turn, and they fawn over her gentle, growing beauty. The head maid snaps for an explanation and urges them to hurry. She frowns, irritated that Zoe was supposed to go next for the bath. A blushing maid admits, "I can't go in there if the hurdles raise so high," while another sits wrapped in a towel, shy and hesitating at the thought of joining the rest. Towel-clad, one murmurs, "But Master Noah's preference, huh?" And the question hangs heavy between giggles and awkward coughs. A small notice tacked by the staff thanks helpers, apologizes for any mistakes, and invites everyone to join future gatherings. A gentle, human afterword to the day's bustle. Noah thrusts his hand forward, and a torrent of magic pours out. Runes spin around him as his heterochromatic eyes lock on an unseen threat, and two armed maids stand ready at his side. Crowned by whispers that he was blessed with the strongest power from birth, Prince Noah Ararat grips a sword that thrums with elemental force, every line of him poised for combat. A chorus of voices screams, "Noe! Ar! Ar!" As a shadowy sorcerer who mastered the wind looms, Noah steels himself to meet that terrible power head-on. Noah's heterochromatic eyes blaze with intent. Speed pushes him forward, every muscle coiled for the collision that will decide the moment. A monstrous claw tears through the streaking darkness and slams into a desperate grip. Light detonates and the world collapses into a violent blur of impact. Noah whirls, cape whipping. As a titanic dark entity reels from a crushing blow, he raises his ornate blade in a blinding surge and watches a destructive sphere implode below with grim resolve. Sharp, shadowy blades rain from the black above, and Noah lunges forward, his sword ablaze with raw power, meeting the storm head-on. A violent eruption of dark energy shatters the sky, jagged tendrils lashing outward as debris and chaos pour down over the city. The ornate rooftops snap and splinter as streaks of light and falling rubble carve the air. A colossal force rains havoc and terror across the district. A dark vortex coils around a blinding white core, spewing debris and raw power. Noah stands in pouring rain before a grand building, hand clenched, silver hair plastered to his brow. Noah blinks at his status. Water reads F+, wind and earth remain. F, while Oscar calls from a distance, stunned, "When did you get so strong?" Oscar demands how bad the city's damage is. Noah answers with calm efficiency, "I shot it upwards," and Oscar marvels that the boy moves and thinks like his father. A shop owner pleads for a moment, claiming he witnessed everything and can show Noah something important. Noah agrees. "All right, show us the way." The shopkeeper explains his room was lowered to host common guests and admits surprise that a child like Noah grasps such nuance, eyes still wide from what he witnessed. Alan Bardsley arrives to pay belated respects while the owner presents an ornate box, convinced that Noah's display of power was no mere trick. The box opens to reveal a single gleaming ring on white satin. A young noble mutters, "The true owner," and dares to suggest testing whether the ring's legend will awaken. A mustached shopkeeper grumbles that discarded things always return to his shelves. A thoughtful youth senses something odd as a hand lifts the ring and a man in armor urges, "Why don't you try it on, Noah?" A mechanical voice snaps out, "Are Arity SSS, level limit, checks and then new owner confirmed, armorization." Noah yelps, "What was that voice?" As the air hums with sudden ancient power. Raw energy surges around Prince Noah as he clamps his hand on his sword. A shimmer crawls down to encase his boots in gleaming armor, while onlookers gape. In an instant, Noah stands clad in magnificent white armor that seems to breathe with life. Silver hair tidy, sword ready, he looks every inch the prince under a sky alive with light. Noah checks his status again. Most stats still read F, but water now blazes, E places, whispers, ripple at the sight of the white armor, and Noah tells Alan, "ILL take this." A smiling man explains the armor can be summoned and withdrawn at will, and that as long as the ring remains safe, the armor will self-repair even if shattered. A burly assailant roars and swings a heavy weapon down. Noah plants himself directly in its path, while Oscar gasps, "That's amazing!" and someone shouts, "Watch out! Watch out!" The attacker bellows, "What the hell are you? Persistent bastard!" And his blow comes down, only for a radiant shield to materialize and deflect the strike, leaving the crowd stunned. Noah reveals the ring is linked to Leviathan. The artifact senses hostility toward its bearer and activated an automatic defense, and murmurs of "amazing" spread through the onlookers. Noah decides the debt collector who attacked won't get a second chance, and with dawn breaking, he resolves to tell Alice everything to put her mind at ease. A woman gasps and clutches her chest in surprise as Noah watches with a calm, knowing gaze. The morning after the night's violence feels fragile and strange. Elsewhere, a woman waits with hopeful eyes for someone's growth, while a cluster of drunken men bicker and threaten over a singer, their crude quarrel collapsing into a startled flight. A larger man bellows, "I'm gonna kill you!" and his bottle-wielding rival snarls, "Try it!" Tension sizzles across the hall as two figures square off with massive, glowing shields. A man screams in agony while another cries, disbelief. Prince Noah Ararat narrows his eyes and unleashes a blinding flurry of sword strikes that cut the attackers down and halt the chaos. Opponents flee in terror. Cries fill the air as spectators cheer. Noah's swordplay, calling it amazing and hailing him, as expected of the prince. Noah's tone turns stern. He orders that troublemakers like those never be allowed back, while a flustered subordinate apologizes and the store manager stammers explanations. Abruptly practical, Noah decides to buy the entire store to prevent a repeat. The owner produces a bag of 1,000 reins and sobs, "Thanks," overwhelmed. "Your Highness." "Just keep singing," a young man urges a hopeful performer, insisting he only wants her song, and daring that it might someday reach His Majesty. She beams and answers, "Yes." A young woman lifts her small instrument and begins to sing. Noah urges her on, and suddenly freezes, eyes wide. "This is, as others murmur that her song is more than ordinary. She blossoms almost overnight, less growth than an evolution, and two men clap as the short, blonde girl flashes a new, steady confidence. The girl walks off, puzzled by the sudden change. A nearby voice credits His Highness. Byron mutters that she finally shed her shell to answer the prince, and a woman in a hat scoffs that such instant transformation strains belief. A street merchant tries to brush past the young prince, but Noah calls him out. "You're lying." And before Noah departs, the man blurts he has a favor to ask of His Highness. Recruitment season has opened at the palace. What begins as servant hires can, for those who catch the emperor's eye, mean nights in the palace and careers that climb as high as queen. A man shrugs, unable to explain the emperor's whims. The young prince asks if they'll send a woman to the palace. a serious merchant, points out that palace ties buy information and profit, admitting he's already traded favors to secure that kind of access. A suggestion of compromise passes around them. Pay a favor forward, and Noah, sweating but polite, accepts. If the girl matches the man's taste, he'll put in a word with His Majesty, promising to choose someone worthy. They describe the ideal, serious, hard-working, the sort who sometimes evolves instantly. Noah shrugs an easy, "yeah," and agrees to unlimited tries, thanking the man for his generosity. Kneeling, the merchant asks to place His Highness's insignia on his board. Noah, surprised, asks if the man will work for him. He agrees, swears against betrayal, and Noah bows his thanks. Noah Ararat, 13th Prince, checks his status and watches. Water spike to E+SS, while fire and wind linger at F. He realizes that by adding subordinates, men like Byron, his power can grow, and he vows to fill his ranks. The screen confirms E+SS for water, fire, and wind. Stuck at F, the SS comes from Almeria, declared Noah's enclosure at birth, and the plus marks contributions from subordinates beneath him. One urgent cry cuts the air. "There's an incident in Almeria!" And the words that follow prick Noah with dread. This is worse than a rumor and already slipping beyond his hands. A clerk stammers an apology for any mistakes and urges the court to discuss the details privately, an odd plea that only deepens the unease. Maids hustle Noah toward his carriage to meet His Majesty. Noah's face hardens. "What happened in Almeria?" And one maid can only stammer, "Why, yes!" Noah Ararat sits with arms crossed, jaw set. The weight of a problem that could swallow his domain settles on the 6-year-old lord. An elder noble murmurs, At the report of an incident in Almeria, a cloaked figure demands how they learned so quickly, and Noah snaps. He only just got notice and knows nothing more. Noah suggests the possibility of an anomaly. Nobles bow to His Majesty. One voice praises, "Amazing Noah." And then an authoritative hand cuts through. A rebellion is happening in Almeria. Noah admits he suspected the incident was rebellion. As the court presses for scope, he watches his water rank slip from SS to S. Those extra S ranks came entirely from Almeria. And he judges coolly the unrest appears small-scale for now. A report claims 5,000 casualties already. And because Almeria is his domain, the court asks if Noah will handle it. He hesitates. He doesn't believe he should take it on alone. Noah admits he cannot lead troops by himself. He is too young and untested on battlefields, and suggests sending one of his brothers instead. The king, surprised by his refusal, asks Noah to recommend which brother should go. Noah names brother Henry, the realm's most cautious prince, arguing that a direct, forceful suppression will do. The king approves Noah's choice and announces Henry will take the field. A carriage bears Prince Henry Ararat in imposing armor as he lectures a younger companion. The empire is forged by warriors, and military achievement secures fate. He taps a sword and notes his companion wields the demon sword as well. Henry tells Noah he cannot lead an army without experience, but Noah insists he will not die. Worried soldiers could fall because of him. Noah frets, and Henry praises that foresight, promising to clear Noah's territory. He's strong against cavalry. Noah's eyes snap wide as a weapon suddenly rises. He lunges, bellowing, "Stop the wagon!" And Henry, alarmed, cries, "What's wrong, Noah?" Leviathan answers, "Noah alone is the target," as a man reels back, crying, "I can't involve you in this!" While a magic circle flares and a blinding surge of power detonates. The flash blooms outward. Noah reaches toward the blast while a man below recoils, eyes wide, screaming his name as the light eats the air. Noah finds himself caged within a brilliant lattice of crackling energy. Prince Henry stares in disbelief as the construct pulses with terrifying power. Even at 6, he stands like a lord, Leviathan's might manifesting as a massive, ornate shield at his back. 2 cloaked figures draw swords, and a furious voice screams, "Do it!" Noah braces himself against the onslaught. A hooded giant lifts a colossal blade. Cloaked attackers surge from all sides, but the small, defiant boy plants his feet as Leviathan's ward flares and raw power surges around him. Noah fights like a storm incarnate, parrying furious strikes from multiple assailants. They spit at being humiliated by a child, and when the dust settles, he stands alone amid fallen attackers. A knight marvels at Noah's sudden power and asks about the shield. Noah explains a magic tool found on Cobalt Street, used with Leviathan, made the defense possible. Men mutter they died without ever learning who had led them. Noah, regal even in the chaos, admits he used the weapon's killing intent to stun the attackers so they wouldn't slaughter themselves. Allies laugh at the eccentricity, but none doubt its effectiveness. Byron Allen steps forward, offering his services to His Highness, and Noah nods. He needs the merchant's reach and knows it. Noah asks Byron if he trades near Almeria. Byron confirms, and Noah, seated like a small sovereign, orders him to buy every sack of horse fodder immediately. He produces 10,000 reins on the spot, leaving an attendant baffled and Byron gasping. The rebels' cavalry strength points to Lord Cafoon's hand. So Noah's plan is simple and brutal: seize the fodder and starve their horses. When asked if human food should be cornered as well, the reply is curt. As you wish. Human foods are fine, one volunteer offers, but another warns against plundering the populace. He blinks. When told horse fodder must come from outside, then suggests soldiers' rations can be requisitioned by force. Noah approves with a pleased, "That's what I'm talking about." A subordinate hails the thinking as brilliant, and Noah promises to move at once, later sipping tea and noting that the plan will make his brother's job easier. Someone points out the rebels tried to capture Noah to make him a trophy. A bearded man chuckles at Noah's cleverness, but warns the entire story could be a fabrication. The bearded man promises a way to verify the assassin's claim. Noah admits he knows nothing of torture, but consents to whatever process uncovers the truth. Courtiers murmur, impressed, that his focus is on fodder and on surviving the attack. An advisor praises Noah's improvised scheme. He dreamed it up last night and only told Byron, and warns anyone can strike at Noah's lands and seize horses. It's Noah's ability to act that turns a simple idea into a weapon. A bearded, armored man kneels before the child. Conceding such a maneuver cannot be repeated often. Noah scoffs that money is too common a reward and vows to find something better, then calls, "Cruise!" The subordinate below answers the order. The emperor raises a hand and grants Noah the right to add a sword to his coat of arms. The highest martial honor, and the young prince listens, wide-eyed, as the decree lands like thunder. The bearded man affirms, "That's right, Noah," and asks if the prince has chosen his method for the knight selection. A cloaked figure claims to have a plan, and the council leans in to hear it. The emperor sits in full regalia while Noah, small and composed, sips tea in the garden amid gods and answers with a quiet, "All right." A robed man unleashes a torrent of water that makes a bearded courtier reel. Yet Noah remains serene, teacup in hand, as water magic spirals and an arcane circle shimmers behind him. The torrent swells into a spectacle that makes even the emperor flinch. But Noah sits unbothered calm as the teacup he holds while the waters rage. Noah declares he will not intervene and will let the candidates push themselves during selection. An elder praises the endurance test, but warns some might breach Noah's defenses. Noah's gaze steels. "I'm prepared for that," and the emperor beams with pride, declaring, "That's my son, the prince of the empire." A servant reports Byron is waiting in the reception room. Prince Noah arrives, slightly winded, and telling them they're early, while a man nearby notes he already knows where the fodder is and that seizing it shouldn't be difficult. A servant girl bursts in, eyes wide. A wounded man has staggered to the main gate from Almeria with an urgent report for Noah. The entire hall snaps to attention. A battered captain, armor torn and soaked with blood, collapses before the young prince and gasps that he commanded a 10-man squadron from Adora province, Almeria. Noah and his attendant exchange a quiet, hard, A bloodied soldier barrels in, shouting a rebellion has erupted in Almeria. Two officials exchange terrified whispers that their superiors are revolting. Noah snaps an order to tend the man, then answers the frantic questions with a cold, steady, "All right." Noah cuts through the panic and corrects the reward. No 500, 1,000 riens, leaving an attendant momentarily dumbfounded. When one admits the information is already useless, Noah narrows his eyes and asks why anyone would pay so much for worthless news. He points out a captain risked his life to bring the warning and that loyalty must be repaid. The attendants grumble about the sum, while the wounded captain lies bloodied and the servants insist he deserves every coin. A maid hustles Noah inside and slams the door. Once closed, he asks Zoe what's wrong. Zoe stares at the floor, troubled, unable to meet his gaze. One maid goes suddenly pale as she kneels and scoops something up, a small pouch, and she clutches it like a guilty thing, stammering, This." Her wide, shocked eyes say more than her words. Noah rolls the drawstring pouch between his fingers while the maid admits a stranger slipped it to her. A servant mutters that 500 riens is the going price for a packet of sleeping powder, an offer to betray him. His voice goes flat as he lays out the trap, lace his drink, wait for him to collapse, then hand him over. When an attendant confirms the plot, Noah snaps that it's likely another rebel trick meant to capture him alive. Tears cut tracks down the maid's face as she pleads she could never betray Noah. He saved her and her village. But they threatened her life. Noah listens with a grim jaw and, finally, tells her he understands. He scoffs at the attempted bribe and calmly adds a 5,000 riens, forcing the maid to break into fresh, embarrassed tears. She insists she can't accept it. Shame and refusal hang between them. Her sobs quiet into a choked gratitude as she accepts and calls him truly great. Noah asks one thing in return. She vows, through tears, to do anything for him. Noah lifts the pouch and pretends to take the pills now, then issues the plan's bitter instruction. If he passes out, she must hand him over to the men waiting outside. The room fills with the cold weight of their choice. He warns bluntly that they will try to silence her afterward. Once she hands him over, she must run and hide immediately. The maid gasps in disbelief. "Hey?" While another servant cries out, "Master!" Under a crescent moon, Noah groans awake, the sharp smell of hay in his nostrils and his hands bound tight. His eyes snap open, wide with alarm. Hay stings his face and the ropes bite his wrists, but a hard, defiant light crosses Noah's features as he takes in the capture. He has been delivered into enemy hands by design, a deliberate sacrifice to keep the maid safe. Two maids stand beneath a cold moon, one radiant, one serene. Watching a cart's lanterns fade into the night, their faces hold gratitude, fear, and the quiet cost of what they've done. The air tightens with the knowledge that war and deception have only just begun.